This is Jamie Finizio Bascombe. I'm the president of the Broward County Bar Association. So excited to be here for Black History Month and our interviews that we're doing of our judiciary. And we have today one of my good longtime friends, Judge Phoebee Francois, who's here with us, and we're thanking her for participating in this. And we're going to do a little interview back and forth with some interesting questions so that you all can get to know Judge Phoebee Francois better and understand her and where she came from and what she adds to our bench. So good evening, Judge. How are you?
Good evening. Thank you so much for doing this, Jamie.
Absolutely, absolutely. My honor. So, well, let's talk about you when you first got onto the bench and how you came to be on the bench and the process that you went through.
Well, I was actually appointed on June 29th, 2018. I remember that date very well. I was appointed by former governor, the current senator, Rick Scott. So do you want me to talk about the process or?
No, essentially, so that then you were appointed at that time to the position that you're currently in now, or?
Yes, I was appointed to the county court bench. So I am currently a sitting county court judge. I went through the JNC process, which means that I applied to the Judicial Nominating Committee. It's a panel of 9 individuals, and then you apply, and then they interview, and then they nominate 6 individuals to the governor for the governor's office to then select or actually appoint someone to the bench. And I was lucky to be able to get that position, so I'm very happy.
Yes, and one thing I know specifically personally, since I was on those JNCs, is something that's a tribute to you and many of the judges who've gone through the process is persistence, because it didn't happen on the first round, right?
That's true. Definitely didn't happen on the first or second round. That took many times before I actually got the appointed, but I think every time I applied, I did a better job because I learned from my prior application and I learned from my prior interviews. And it was a good process.
Good, good. And that's what I always advise people to never give up, right? Just keep on pushing on to you. So let's talk about your family background and where you're from and your upbringing, what that was like.
Well, I was actually born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. So my family and I moved to the United States when I was very young. I was about 2.5 years old when we moved here. We moved to, initially we lived in New York for a little while, and then we moved to New Jersey, and that's where I grew up. I have 4 siblings. It's 4 girls and 1 brother. I am the second to last, so I was almost a baby, and my sister messed that up. So I am not the baby, but I should have been. My grandfather was a judge in Haiti. And that's one of the reasons why I always knew that I wanted to be a judge, because I wanted to be like him.
I remember you telling me a little bit about that when I first met you years back, and talk a little bit about that and your family environment and kind of what was the thought process of your family for your upbringing, what was instilled in you.
My parents were very strict when I was growing up. It was all about education, and it was about hard work. So if I brought home anything less than an A, I got in trouble. So I knew that I couldn't do that. So I had to work hard in order to make sure that I pleased my parents, because it wasn't worth getting in trouble for that. So, and that's one of the reasons why I think that I've always persevered. Because if I didn't understand it, and I had to figure it out. My parents, because English was not their first language, it wasn't always as easy for them to help out with homework and that kind of stuff. So, but yet and still, my parents expected me to get straight A's. So you do what you have to do. And then I have siblings, and they were old. So the ones that were older than me always helped out as well and made sure. But it was important, as a young girl, I wasn't allowed to go out and have fun and go party and that kind of stuff. I was home studying. That was the most important thing to my parents. My grandfather actually lived in Haiti when I was growing up, but every summer he would come down to New Jersey, and he would spend the entire summer with us. And he would give us stories about all of these things that happened while he was on the bench in Haiti. And he would tell us about, the lawlessness in Haiti and some of the, the things that, the happened with the government. And, Haiti has a lot of issues as far as politics. And, they do have a constitution and they do have laws. Unfortunately, those laws are not always followed. And he would just tell us stories about that. And I used to tell him, Grandpa, I'm going to be a judge in the United States, just like you were a judge in Haiti. I told him that all the time when I was growing up. My mother didn't like that. She was not on board. But I told her, I'm going to be like Grandpa. And she said, oh, politics is trouble and you should be a doctor. That's what you should do. You should go to medical school. And I told her that that was not for me. So
Wow. And so is your grandfather still living?
he is not. He is not. He passed away actually just before I started high school.
Oh, okay. So many years ago. Well, of course, he's watching down always and proud of you, I'm sure, saying you did it, right? All of his stories empowered you. That's wonderful.
Here.
And did anybody else go into law in your family?
No, no one else.
One.
No one else.
Okay.
My sister is a pharmacist. I have another sister who's a social worker. I have a sister who's a teacher, and my brother is in computer programming. So, I was the only. Well, my dad is a lawyer. He was a lawyer in Haiti. Although when he came to the United States, they told him that he had to, in order to practice law, he had to go back to school and start over, and because they wouldn't accept his degree. And my dad had 5 kids and a wife, and he had to provide. So he ended up going into a whole different profession and just worked, hard in order to, I think he actually started working at a lab in order to make ends meet for his family.
Wow. Well, he must have been extremely proud too. He's extremely proud of you, what you accomplished.
My dad is still alive and he's 95 years old and he tells me that. So
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Well, and I know you've gone back and forth to Haiti. You still have family there?
I have some family there, not a lot, but I have a few family members who still reside in Haiti.
Yeah. And so as far as your cultural background and the cultural diversity, of course, I remember talking with you about that and you thinking it was so important to have cultural diversity on the bench. Is that one of the driving forces for you? And tell us about what your beliefs are and you work toward on that.
Cultural diversity is very important because the people that appear in court may be of any race, they could be of any religion, gender, or background. So you want to have a diverse bench because there's also been a lot of studies that indicate that lack of diversity creates a lack of trust in our justice system. So it's important for the judiciary to reflect our diverse community to ensure that the litigants and the public not only trust the process, but believe that the litigants and the public are going to get a fair and impartial trial or hearing. So it is very important that we have diversity. And even when people appear before me now, I think I can tell that their demeanor changes when they see a judge that looks like them or a judge that speaks their language. They feel more comfortable speaking and expressing themselves. And I think it's also important to allow each of the litigants to speak, to be patient with them, so that they walk out feeling that they had their say, that they had their day in court. Because sometimes it's their first time ever coming to court. But even if they're unhappy with the results, and I've had litigants say, "Thank you, Judge. Thank you so much for explaining that to me," even though I ruled against them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So what specifically prior to becoming a judge, what type of work did you do? And what was your passion in your practice?
My first job out of law school was with the Seminole County State Attorney's Office. And then I worked I came back down to Broward County and worked as a public defender in Broward County. I was at the public defender's office for almost 10 years. After working for the public defender, I went to private practice, and I was in private practice for 5 years. And I did a little bit of everything when I was in private practice. You know, I did criminal, civil, family, and I did a lot of immigration at that time because I speak a couple of languages, so it was easy to do immigration. Um, and I did some employment law. After private practice, I was appointed as a general magistrate, and I did that for 9 years at the Broward County Courthouse. And I loved doing that. And I was in the family division. And then I was appointed in 2018 as a county court judge.
And clearly you got tremendous experience sitting as a magistrate that I'm sure helps you on the bench every day now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so becoming a judge, has it been what you expected it to be? And what has been your take on from what people see from the other side and then what really happens?
I think it's been everything that I expected. I feel that every day I make a difference in someone's life, especially when I was doing civil and criminal. Every day, whether it was landlord-tenant, whether it was small claims, or a foreclosure case, or traffic, even traffic criminal, you could tell that you made a difference every time you made a ruling, every time you let them speak, every time you listened. They appreciated that.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's the reason why I wanted to be a judge, is to give back to the community, and I feel as if I do that. Now I'm a first appearance judge, so I'm the magistrate judge, and I am the first person they see after they've been arrested, and I tell them what their charges are, and have an opportunity to give them a bond. So I still think I'm making a difference every single day.
Right, right. And that's typically a tougher court to be in, because you're dealing with people who are pretty upset and pretty distraught. So what are some of the things you have to do in that position, in that role specifically, in dealing with those people coming in front of you?
As a magistrate judge?
Yeah, I mean, as far as how you handle it, I mean, not procedurally, but just how you worked to try to keep it workable versus just craziness.
One of the things that I do is I always call them by name. I don't say defendant. So that way they feel it's a little more personal, and they know that I'm talking to them. I make sure that they're listening and that they hear what I'm telling them. As far as what they've been charged with, if they have a question, I'll allow them to ask that question, although I let them know that we're on the record. Everything that's being said can be used against them. So don't talk to me about the facts of the case. And, the public defender is also there. And the public defender, they're very quick to let them know, don't talk about the facts of the case. Don't talk about the facts of the case. But I talk to them and I listen. And if I can set bond, I set bond. If I can't, I explain to them why we can't set bond, or why the bond may not be what they would hope that it would be.
Right, right. And have you had any instances where you feel like you were really using some other humanistic types of skills besides just being a judge to bring to the situation when you're dealing with these types of people who are in a really bad spot?
I think one of the most important things that a judge can have is patience. Patience is important because you take your time to speak to them and to allow them to speak makes a world of a difference, because it's when they feel like they're not being heard or nobody cares about what they're saying. I think that's when they get upset.
Right, right. Well, that's good advice too, even in our general practices, right, with our clients in everyday life. So are there some things that you've learned about being a judge that you were not aware of prior to taking the bench, of what kind of what goes on that is behind the curtain that nobody really sees?
I have to say, because I was a magistrate for 9 years, I was well trained. So I actually had the experience of having a quasi judicial role prior to becoming a judge. But I have to say that even to compare being a magistrate versus being a judge, there is a big difference. Even the attorneys treat you differently. So yeah, I would say that I definitely felt the difference when I actually took the bench versus being a magistrate. The level of respect, I just think that it was very, very different.
And speaking of that, and with regard to professionalism and so forth, what has been your experience with that and how you feel that you've added something to that, to the level of professionalism of the litigants and the attorneys that come in front of you?
I've been very lucky. I have not had anyone who behaved unprofessionally before me. Even the litigants, when they get upset or they're angry, even angry at the other side, um, you have to kind of, let them know this is not the way we behave in court. And they get it and they stop. And they also, see the deputy there and they know that they might get kicked out. So they're not going to do that. But I've been very fortunate that my litigants have behaved. And part of it is because of the way I speak to them.
That's good. Yeah, it's mutual respect, right?
Mutual respect. That's correct.
So talking about, and one of the questions we always ask judges about too, is that, not all judges kind of come from the same path that come through in their careers. So what are some of the qualities that you think are important for judges to have to be able to serve the public?
I think one of the most important qualities that a judge should have is the ability to follow the law. It's not our job to create law, to make up law. We have to follow the law. And I think that's very important for a judge to be able to do that. And I think I'm going to go back to patience as the second most important thing. Judicial efficiency and, being able to run a docket, all of those things are important. But I think the quality that matters is the quality that allows you to interact directly with the litigants. And I think that, being a people person, you have to be patient. You have to let them speak. You have to allow them to have their day in court. Because I think that's when they get upset. And I think that if you talk to them in that way and you tell them, look, I'm here for you. I'm here to listen to your case. So if you're getting upset and you're unable to articulate what you need to say to me, or you're unable to talk to me, then you're not going to get the result that you're looking for. So you have to calm down, take a deep breath, and you have to talk to me.
Yeah, good advice. How important do you think it is for individuals who are aspiring to become a judge or to become successful professionals to have access to internships, clerkships, mentorship, and what kind of differences can that make for those individuals?
I think it's very important for a judge to, or anyone, I don't even think it has to be a judge, for anyone to be, to network, to meet other people in their profession, to learn from them, and to impart their knowledge. It's also very important to have a mentor. A mentor will help guide you and help you achieve your goals. Just like they may have been able to achieve their goals. So you want to have someone who can give you good advice so that you make the right decisions. Sometimes, I may not know what to do. So I'm going to call someone, my mentor, and ask them, what should I do in this case? Because we may not always have the answers, but it's mentoring is important. And I think that it's important to be a mentor and to also give back. And I've been doing that for many, many years. I mentor elementary school students all the way to school students. And I've been doing that way before I ever even thought about becoming a judge, because I think that to help a young attorney to be a better professional and a better attorney only helps our profession. So we have to do that, and we have to give back.
Yeah, that's great. Great, great. So we're going to do a couple little fun things now because we've gotten to we know the Phoebee Francois professional judge side. So let's talk about something that people might be surprised to learn about you, like some kind of a cool or unique hobby or something interesting outside of being a judge.
All right. So, interesting hobby. One of the things that I've been doing a lot lately is I'm very into the Food Network channel. So what I do is I try all of these new recipes that I learn from the Food Network, and I actually make my family have to like sample and taste, and they have no choice. And
Coming for dinner.
sometimes tell me it's bad, and sometimes it's very good. So, and it's made me a better cook as well. So I enjoy doing that, and I enjoy like trying the different new recipes. If I see something, and I that's one of the things I watch all day long, especially on the weekends. On Sunday, I watch it all day long, and and I'll write down, okay, this one I'm going to try, and then I'll try it. I'll go out and get the ingredients and make it and make them eat it.
All right. Put me down for coming for dinner for sure. And do you cook specifically do you cook any of your cultural Creole food, anything like that?
I am able to cook all of my cultural food. My mom made it a point. When I was in junior high school, that's when she started teaching us to cook. And again, I have three other sisters. So my mom, the way that she did it was we had to take a turn every day. One of us had to cook. So we had to rush home from school and come in and start cooking. And we had to measure everything correctly. And if it didn't taste right or it didn't look good, she would throw it away and we would have to start all over. And
Wow.
it became, stressful because we were like, oh no, she's gonna throw it away. And she'll taste it and she'll say, this is no good. Start all over. So we would start over until we got it right. So I have to say, thanks to my mom, I can cook all of the Haitian meals, and dishes.
Wow. So she must be an amazing cook.
My mom was an amazing cook. She's passed, but she was definitely an amazing cook.
Yeah. Well, that's an incredible skill that she, passed on to you all and made you learn and cultivate.
Made us learn. And at first, you know what, I used to say when I was a child, I hate cooking. I never want to do this again because it was so stressful to have to do it right. But once you get it right, then you do actually love doing it.
Yeah. Well, keep working on me with that one. I got to figure out the Italian cooking thing. You have to give me lessons, my friend. Okay, we're going to do one last fun question, which I understand originated from one of our other judges, one of our friends, Judge Keith and Frank, and it's a fun one. So if there were to be a movie, a blockbuster movie called Phoebe, who would star in it and who would you choose to star in it and why?
I think I would choose Jennifer Hudson. And the reason why I would choose her is because I know that she has had a lot of obstacles thrown her way, um, uh, career-wise as well as family-wise. And she was able to persevere, and she was able to still become a famous and wonderful singer as well as an actress. So I think that I would want her to play me.
That's a good choice. Good choice. I'd go see it for sure. Is there anything else that you would like to add that you think would be good for people to learn about you or to be inspired? Another thing you'd like to share before we end?
Just that I love what I do. And if anyone needs a mentor, I am always looking for new mentees. And I have a lot of mentees now at St. Thomas University and at Parkway Middle School. But give me a call, come by. I know that COVID, and I know that it's harder now, but when COVID is over, I would love to mentor you. Anything that you need, please come, and I will be there for you and help you impart my knowledge to you, and I'm sure there's something I can learn from you as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. I know that's much appreciated by our bar association and the young lawyers. And we so appreciate your involvement with our BCBA, Judge, and everything you've done and helping us on our mission as well. So it's been wonderful to.
The judiciary appreciates you guys as well. You guys have been so supportive of us, and you know, you're there for every event and you make everything happen. So thank you for doing everything that you guys do, and for Braulio as well. You guys, I don't know what we would do without you.
No, neither do I. My director directs everything we do. He and his team, the team are amazing. So they make my job easy too. So thank you for your time and for participating. And we look forward to the event and for learning about everybody and experiencing and celebrating Black history. Certainly.